I'll start with what I like about the new Silent Hill 2 trailer. It's focused on gameplay, which was the main thing we didn't get to see in the original trailer. We see how the game is played, and that's nice. The opening shots show us that several of the original game's puzzles are present. The grandfather clock, the coin puzzle, the safe combination, and one of my favorite puzzles, the soda cans and the garbage chute, which is so Silent Hill. I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's all here. The general gameplay of the Silent Hill 2 remake is actually quite low on my list of concerns. I think it's entirely possible that we get a solid survival horror gameplay experience here. My main concerns lie with the narrative and characters, which I laid out in my video on it last year. This trailer contains no voiceover, no hints at story elements, no shots of Mary or Laura or Eddie. It's all just exploration, puzzles, and combat. The combat looks, well, to me it just looks like Silent Hill Homecoming from 2008.
We obviously didn't turn it into a first-person shooter, but we definitely made the combat more fun, more accessible.
But yeah, it's your typical over-the-shoulder, closely zoomed in for no reason, standard combat presentation. And look, this may be entirely functional, but the words typical and standard are not words that I would ever use to describe the original Silent Hill games.
The presentation for the game looks incredible. The gameplay looks like a $10 Steam game.
Silent Hill games look and feel like Silent Hill games in combat and out of combat. A big part of that is the style of camera they used, and the cinematography that changes depending on the room you're in. The new Silent Hill looks like it's gonna play and control exactly like Alan Wake 2 from last year, which played exactly like the Resident Evil remakes, which played like The Evil Within 2, because big budget horror games are stuck in this camera perspective. Call me old or blinded by nostalgia all you want, but I remember a time when every horror game I played had a unique identity to it in terms of its cinematography. Resident Evil had fixed angles that frame the action like a movie. Silent Hill had a camera that follows you from above, but would sometimes switch to an angular fixed camera for dramatic purposes, or even pull out to the side and frame you from a distance. Clock Tower's point-and-click format felt like you were watching a set on a TV show. Nightmare Creatures followed you like a Tomb Raider camera, but allowed you to attack in any direction, and you could see your character from more angles than just behind their head. And that's a big one to me. All these new horror games, you're just staring at the back of your character's head for 99% of the experience. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I miss being able to see my character during gameplay. It helps me connect with their adventure, seeing their face during combat and exploration. I don't care if it leads to situations where I'm shooting enemies off screen. It's worth it for the character connection and the level of cinematography that adds to the horror experience and leaves us with so many strong visual memories of locations we spend time in. So I have a hard time getting excited about the gameplay I've just seen. Whether it's good or not, it looks like everything else, and that's kinda heartbreaking. The homogenization of gameplay is a real phenomenon, and seeing Silent Hill 2 be presented in a standardized format makes me kinda sad, I'm sorry. I'm still generally looking forward to playing it. I may end up enjoying the combat, but there's always going to be a part of me that's bugged by this. And the more that I think about it, doesn't a gameplay trailer for Silent Hill 2, especially one focusing on combat, kinda miss the point? If you're as old as I am, you probably remember the trailers leading up to the original Silent Hill sequels, SH2, 3, 4, and those trailers showed almost nothing of combat, maybe 30 seconds of a 6-minute trailer. The atmosphere, music, and story elements were all we needed to be pissing ourselves with excitement, because combat isn't the point. Now we have a remake where we are actively marketing the combat, and it just feels wrong, doesn't it? I started this script thinking it was a nice thing to see the combat, but really an entire trailer focused on combat doesn't make sense to me as a Silent Hill fan. Aside from all that, there's not a lot to say. We still don't have a release date. But I did notice that James's face looks a bit different. Am I imagining this, or have his facial features been softened? If that's the case, I approve. The ending of the trailer is... this has to be Pyramid Head, right? But what's the point of presenting him so mysteriously? They already blew their load by clearly showing him in HD glory in that first terrible trailer. Now they're trying to be mysterious? This is what they should have done the first time around. Oh well, I guess it shows they learned their lesson from the backlash. Setting the camera angle aside, the visuals are nice, the tone seems appropriate. But I don't know.
I don't know. There's some things that I'm worried about.
I'm assuming Silent Hill 2 comes out this year, so we'll see how it turns out. Do yourself a favor and play Signalis if you haven't already. It's a phenomenal survival horror experience, and it's not over the shoulder, how about that? Coming up on this channel, my impressions of the Batman Arkham games, which I've finally gotten around to playing, and the release of my huge 1 hour and 15-minute video on RoboCop 2014. Get your drinks ready.